You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 25th meeting for the Michigan City Sanitary Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good afternoon, Michigan City, Indiana. Thank you all for joining us at the exciting meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Michigan City Sanitary District. Let the record show that we have a quorum. However, Tina Mahone and Chance Falls is not in attendance, so we have a quorum, and I'd ask for a review of the minutes for the executive session and the regular meeting on May 28th. So if we would review the minutes for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes held in the executive session Wednesday, May 28th.
I will second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other comments or questions on the executive session? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And while we're on executive session, Joe, you want to give us standard?
Yes, spiel? Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. With respect to the executive session, there was one held, and there was nothing discussed during that executive session other than the information included in the posted and advertised notice. If there are any board members who would dissent that certification, please do so now. If not, Mr. President, we can proceed with the meeting.
Thank you. So
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting as well, held Wednesday, May 28th.
I will second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded on the regular meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Got the minutes out of the way, and we had our executive session earlier this evening. Time for public comment. If there's anybody interested in making public comment, just a couple of guidelines. We'd love to have your comments limited to 3 minutes, as well as if you would like to have something in more discussion that's on the agenda, we will allow for public comment at the time when that agenda item comes up. Otherwise, this will be the public comment during this period. So, is there any comments from the public?
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple items, if we could get updates on them. The number one is Hitchcock Street and the dumping that's going on out there. I took a ride past there, let's see, Monday night? Yeah, Monday night, and there was debris sitting outside the fence. Okay, and I don't do it every night, but I'm sure it's a every night occurrence, probably, what's going on there. And when we're gonna get that resolved, or what we're doing in that direction. And also with the household disposal site that the district is working on, and when we're gonna put that into motion. It just so happened, I went for a ride through a particular neighborhood today, and within 3 blocks, I mean, I wrote down 3 or 6 addresses that people had dumped material out on the easement or their parking way. And you know, I'm talking everything from construction debris to old couches to old chairs. And I know that the city doesn't have a cleanup time going on right now, right? So I don't know why this is happening or what have you, but I was hoping that we'd maybe have some of this behind us by now, but you know, apparently not. So whatever we got to do to try to get that corrected, because I know that you know, the refuse department is out there working as hard as they can every day. Now the street department's out there helping them, trying to get everything looking nice for the 4th of July weekend. But we should want our city to look like pristine every day of the week. So yeah, just if the district has any updates, if not, maybe they could have one for the next board meeting so we know what's going on in that direction. And then I can respond back to any citizens or council members that may have questions in that direction. Thank you.
Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Just, I know you mentioned the household waste. What type of household waste were you referring to? And maybe everyone else knows, but I wasn't sure if you meant household hazardous waste, like paint cans, or?
No.
No, okay.
You know, we're talking
Just all furniture.
Oh, just
we're talking
household,
furniture,
okay.
we're talking some construction debris, sinks, toilets, things of that nature. Yeah. And just for general information, because I'm the president of the Solid Waste District here in LaPorte County, that now we have a new provider for the recycle waste. It's called Waste Away, and they bought out Borden's. So it's no longer Borden's that owns the company, it's Waste Away that owns it, and they have a new management team. But all the contact information and things like that for who to contact if people are having a problem in Michigan City, they still contact the LaPorte County Solid Waste District with the same phone numbers and the same folks that are working there to get things resolved that they may have with their recycling program.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, Councilman, for your comments. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? May you refer back to, Chris, would you like to try to address the councilman's concerns at this point, or what do we want to do?
I surely can. So to answer part of that question, he is totally right. We are in a blitz mode at this moment. A special team has been set up with the street department, with refuge, with our department, of course, and we are, and vector control. We're taking what we call a temporary transfer station now, which we're utilizing the area behind the dog kennels on Central Maintenance property. It's fenced in. So we are taking all of the collectibles throughout town and talk about the couches and the chairs and the meshes, etc. To that location, we're a temporary transfer station, and then we are hauling from there to Republic, which is out in Chesterton, and we are dumping there and trying just to clean up as we're doing this special cleanup as we speak.
Okay.
So that's kind of our advantage to the situation as we are dealing with it right now. As for we went to for the parade and for the 4th of July, for everything was captive in recently.
So does the homeowner, the person that's putting the junk on the road, do they get a fine? They get a notice? Do they get just free service? What do we do with that?
Right now we're documenting and we're also taking photographs, but right now we're just trying to clean up, like Mr. Prisburski says, just clean up some of this mess and get things to a better level. Because we have had spring cleanup and we had nothing else scheduled. It turned into quite an ordeal, so now this is our solution. The mayor's supported it, running by Darryl Kravachik, and we're doing a clean sweep is what we're calling it.
Thank you. Well, I know other cities, they have issues with people bringing truckloads of stuff into their city and just dumping it. So,
and that's where we want to educate everybody, because we do not do building materials. We do not allow that to happen. So that has to be done on their own, and that's where we've been advised they have to get a dumpster for those kind of things. If they're doing their own roof, or they're doing their own deck, or remodeling their homes, all that has to be done separately through a dumpster service.
Okay. All right. Hopefully that answers it partially. If not, we can address it in more detail. So,
let me, if I can respond to that.
Sure.
I mean, you asked.
I just want to be cautious of yes, fine, that's good, yeah.
And I had, Chris and I have talked about this, Wendy and I have talked about this, about having a spot in Michigan City where people can take these materials, where the people in the city are made aware of where they can take this to on a day-to-day basis, Monday through Friday. It happens. My daughter lives in Brownstown, Michigan, and they have a little simple setup there. Just give me 2 minutes to explain it so everybody understands what we're doing here. Okay, so you have a fenced-in area, and it's right by one of their municipal buildings there. So then you have a ramp, okay? Ramp coming up, concrete ramp, then you go down, but on each side of the ramp, you have two 20-yard roll-off boxes, okay? So before you get up on that ramp, get out of your car, you go over to the shanty, where there's somebody working there, you have to show them your license, that you're a resident of the city, then you can go up on the ramp. They get out and they see what's inside the load, because you don't want hazardous material and stuff like that in there, tires and all that. And then they just take it and they throw it right down in the box. Off you go, and it's done with. And they're open, I think, Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, then on Saturday, half a day Saturday morning. And every time I've driven by there's never anything left outside the gate. Everything is nice and neat and clean. So just a suggestion on how we can do this or which way the city's going.
I appreciate that. And Chris gave us a little bit of an update on some things that are very related to that I think we'll see something in the next few months. So, good. Thank you. Appreciate
It's all
it.
right, Brian.
Appreciate the input. No, it's much appreciated. Please keep coming to our meetings. It's good.
I'll put that on my bill.
Yeah. All right, seeing no other public comment, let's move on to item 5, the financial report. Rhonda, do we have a little update here?
Our city controller.
Yes, I'm.
Oh, excuse me.
Years
Okay.
and years, it's been a while.
I'm just reading my own agenda here, so.
We used to give the financial report by fund, which is more informational, much more. Giving just the cash balance is like somebody saying, what's the cash balance in your checking account? Doesn't take into consideration your outstanding checks, you might be writing a big check next week. So I'm going to give, it's not going to be pretty, because we have, with the reorganization, the staff, a lot of what I'm going to call like the county staff are actually housed at City Hall. So we work very closely with them. And we got the bank record, we got all the bank reconciliations all caught up. So I am happy to report, and I'll be here for the meetings to report this by fund. I think it's going to give a much clearer picture. It's also very important because we are in budget season. Unfortunately, the sanitary district does not have a budget, I don't think, for 2 years. So we have to get a budget going for 2026. And also the State Board of Accounts is here too. So just so you know, this is why it's really important that we have reconciled bank accounts, because then I can present to the State Board of Accounts. And one of the things that I was just talking to one of the auditors, I'm not sure if you're even aware that with the revenues coming in, the revenues that are posted on all of our annual reports are based on billings, not necessarily amounts that we
Receivables,
receive. So just to give you, because I'm kind of, this is a side note, a little concerned about, we seem to be growing in our accounts receivable, and I did send that schedule off to some people in the past. So with that to say, the stormwater balance, now this is the fund balance, is $883,909.15. Refuse has a balance of $2,513,285.70. The sanitary district grant fund is $59,405.34. You have a special revenue fund of $10,405.20. Levy excess is $8,522.14. Sanitary district operating fund is a negative $162,158.39. The improvement fund is $790,276.62. The vehicle replacement fund is $267,677.07. And the equipment replacement fund is $529,396.70. And I'm going to go ahead and allow along to say, because we were having trouble with the operating fund being negative at certain times, we have not been making the transfers into your improvement, vehicle replacement, and equipment replacement fund. So, and I think that was always a good standard but we would be moving money from the operating fund into those funds.
Sure.
So we want to look at probably getting that practice again. That should be incorporated into your next year's budget. You also have Carwick, that's a whole separate bank account. That's got $208,009.87. And then you've got your debt and bond interest. The SRF debt account is $558,262.63. And the SRF bond interest fund is $225,546.72. But that's where, in the past, we would just tell you you've got a bank balance of $1,503,000.
Right.
But that doesn't tell you the whole picture.
No, and without having the detail in front of us, it's not going to be very easy for us to digest.
Right.
So, and also even the negative 162,000 makes me uneasy relative to how it's being managed. However, the comfort comes from how much we have in the bank, because, we've got $500,000 in claims, and want to make sure that we have money in the bank to cover that. And it's more complex than just that.
And unlike before, when we would tell you your bank balance, those claims are already out of this balance.
Okay, right.
Because we've already posted the claims to the ledger, that cash has been basically credited. So really, these balances, I take this back, this is May balances, no, we wouldn't have. This also doesn't have June, this is May.
Okay.
So,
I'd like to, and I don't know.
and June would have revenues in, so the balances, so I actually struck this, I mean, we had reconciled the bank accounts up till May, but we're still through June.
Okay. Well, I don't know, before the next meeting or sometime shortly after that, I would love to see a summary of just what you went through and kind of, I don't know if I need a history or not, but I need to understand it better than just the cursory list of numbers. So,
Okay, no problem, no problem.
just so I understand a little bit better. I'll never get to perfect account for it, but I just need to get in the range.
Correct.
So, and I think it'd be good education for the entire board too. So what I would love to have is very similar to, we have a claims docket here, which lists all the claims, but something very similar relative to those key operating budget line items that we can actually review. Hey, are we high or low in one particular area or not? And
I might, I know we used to give you, actually that performance, budgetary performance report is, I will run that next time. I hesitated to do that now because the budget, but it is what it is, it's old. I think we updated the budget for the salary increases we went in 2 years ago. Last year we didn't have any. So I think I'll run that too. I think that helps to give a
Thank
clearer
you.
picture.
no, that'd be great.
Because I didn't run that, because knowing that we're still right at budget time, but I will run that next time and bring that to you. And that's a better management tool as opposed to just the straight fund balances.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So, and then specifically on the fund balances, the cash balance in total is about $3 million, 2.5?
Correct, if you add it all, yes, if you took everything, yeah, we actually have about $1.5 million, and it's probably now, I think when I look at it, it was like $1.9 million as of June, but at this point in time, this would be $1.5 million, taken in consideration, and still may have outstanding.
Okay, and the claims on this list are already taken out of that, or are they?
Well, no, because this is May, so we're already in June, so next time I'll be clear, because I know I'm giving you reconciled fund
No problem,
balances.
okay.
But now you've moved forward to June,
Yeah, it's,
so, yeah,
just gotta get in the range.
correct. This is, these are
think we have money to pay our
reconciled,
bills
these
with.
things are reconciled.
I agree. It's just, I mean,
We should have the money.
I probably could handle, running a hot dog stand, but, it's more complex than that, so. All right, so thank you for the cash balances. Let's go on to item number 6, if somebody has any questions. Okay, and I'd like to do this a little bit simpler here. So we have item A, which is a retainer, which we don't need a board action on. It's $5,000 every month we pay. The next 6 invoices, what I'd like to do is, if you'd like to give us a summary of what they are, and then just, I believe it's less than $3,000. I'd like to just approve that in one motion.
You can, and maybe it's a little bit of an overkill, but the way my case management system works, it spits out a separate invoice for every matter that we're working on.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to find out what's happening on a particular matter, it's easy to pull just one invoice and all the details there, but you're right, it is a little bit of overkill. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with you approving all invoices in one shot. It's a relatively low amount, but each one of those invoices will outline some of the projects that we're working on with various members of the staff, including Wendy on various matters. So there are, one is litigation involving the town of Long Beach. That matter is ongoing. I think when I last reported on this, I explained that our dispositive motions are outstanding and we're waiting on a ruling from the court. We are still waiting on a ruling for the court. There is some talk now about the potential of sitting down to mediate the matter. there hasn't been a decision made of whether we will mediate or not, and before doing so, I'll request authorization from the board to do it, because there is a requirement that if you do sit down for mediation, you have to do so in good faith with some intention of settling. So if there isn't a desire to settle, you should not sit down and try to mediate it. So we'll make sure that we have a conversation about that when and if it happens. There's been some miscellaneous general matters that we've been working on. We've got an effort that Wendy and my office have been working on regarding collection of delinquent accounts and some mechanisms that we're putting in place to make sure we limit the amount that we need to write off in the future, and instead actually realize those amounts so we can put them in our coffers. There were also 2 other projects involving certain annexation areas and also a tax sale property at 2120 Ohio Street.
So there's a nice summary of this. It's page 1 of 1. It lists all the invoices. The total is $2,940.75. And what I would ask for is a motion to approve all 6 of these invoices, 11128 through 11133, in the amount of $2,940.75.
I'll make that motion, so moved. As stated.
Seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, item 7, Christopher Burke Engineering.
So Christopher Burke Engineering assisted with collections system capacity inquiries and some sanitary sewer reviews, and the invoice associated with that work is invoice number 38541 for an amount of $2,968.18, and it's well within the $20,137 remaining in the task order budget, and we recommend approval.
Right. And what's the pleasure of the commission?
I move to process invoice number 38541 for Christopher P. Burke in the amount of $2,968.16.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item progress report, MS4.
MS4.
There was a second Burke report.
Sorry about that. MS4 also submitted a progress report for the work that they have assisted us with on Teams meeting with user tone for stormwater review, MS4 program needs, Woodland Ridge stormwater review meeting with developer, prepared and completed inspection of construction sites, completed stormwater plan review, met with client to set up smart spreadsheet, worked on various MS4 SOPs and plan updates, and responded to client requests for assistance. So far, their job-to-date costs are $18,601.97. A budget remaining from that task force is $6,398.03, and the invoice is forthcoming.
Okay. And just for my help, MS4 is?
Municipal.
Separate storm.
Yes. Okay.
4 S's.
Oh,
It should be 4 S and not MS4, but.
That's right.
Okay. Got it. Storm. Thank you. All right. Any questions on the report? All right. Item number 8, MS Consultants Progress Report and rate study.
That would be myself, Chris.
Good afternoon. My name is Nathan Delisle with MS Consultants. Dan Cuttshaw couldn't make it this evening and apologizes. To give you a quick update on the status of the rate study, Baker Tilly is neck deep in the district's financials and is nearing completion of their rate study, although it is not yet complete. We did have a brief call with them this afternoon to discuss next steps. It sounds like July 9th, we have a workshop scheduled with district staff, some city staff, MS and Baker Tilly to develop a financing strategy for this project, whatever that may include.
Okay. So, other than, go ahead.
No questions.
So it's a work in progress, and
It's a work in progress.
we don't have any big stumbling blocks, and
No.
we should start making some decisions after July 9th, right? Or have enough information to think about, at least directionally.
Your July meeting, after the workshop takes place, we'll have a lot more discussion to have with the board as a
Okay.
whole.
And when you say workshop, is that internal or is it open, or what is it?
Public, a workshop.
Public workshop,
No.
okay.
That's the term workshop. A workshop typically is public.
Okay.
So if you intended it to be something different, then
No, it's a working
so it's just a
meeting.
meeting.
It's just a working meeting. We can use
Okay.
different
We
terminology.
use the term working meeting, so
Yeah.
that it's internal only, and it's to get a handle on kind of what they have found based on the capital improvement plan and some of the questions that we have, so that they can come back and give a full update to the board
Right.
on the draft and where things are, what's included and what isn't, and what should we do next.
Right, and it's, and also, I'm sure the mayor is gonna want some level of transparency after that meeting relative to what directions we're going. So
Yes,
we'll-
and I'll make sure
we're
she's in the
committed to
loop.
having it open, an open process. Once we get enough decisions behind us to actually present something credible, right?
Yes.
So-
Right, just make sure we don't call it a workshop or you'll have people showing up.
Yeah.
We are not calling it a workshop from here on out.
There you go, working meeting.
All right.
Working meeting.
All right, any other questions? Love it, thank you for the progress report, appreciate it. Schneider Geomatics, item number 9, Lake Avenue Highway 12 lift station project.
Good evening, everybody, or afternoon. It's still sunny outside, not sure exactly. In case you forgot, I'm Alonzo Garcia from Sanitary Geomatics. I'm here to give an update on the Highway 12 lift station project. Starting at the top, Sanitary Geomatics has set location stakes for NIPSCO to receive and bring gas and electric services to the project site. Permit review and coordination for the Amtrak Road pipe crossing is ongoing. All requested supplemental information has been submitted to the railroad. And a bit of good news is it has been determined that the additional geotechnical exploration will not be required for this project.
That's good.
That's good. And the only other information is the construction schedule has been, we are currently going over the construction schedule with H&G for the south side of Highway 12 between the plant and the interstate. That is it.
All right, any questions?
The invoice associated with those engineering services, invoice number 196304, in the amount of $3,988. Recommended approval.
Thank you, because they're a little out of order in our packet, so the.
Yeah, I moved mine forward earlier because they were on
Okay, thank you.
the agenda, so.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board? We have a recommendation from our water reclamation superintendent.
I will move to approve Snyder Geomatics invoice number 196304 in the amount of $3,980.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah, aye, Jen, Kevin?
Ah, sorry.
Should be worse. All right, motion carries. Thank you very much. Appreciate the update. Now, are you going to give us the update on the other piece? Okay, please. This is the big numbers here. This is.
So let's start top update with MK's project, the Spring City Annex Area Sewer Extension. So Recent Rise have been making progress on the project. The grouted sewer north of Highway 20 is complete. The installed sewer and manholes have been both pressure and vacuum tested. And the jack and bore on the highway under Marks Parkway has been completed, as well as the tree clearing. The other bit of news is that the set of the morning plan for Jack and Bore on Highway 20 was prepared by us and submitted to NDOT, and that has been issued today. So we received the permitting. So the boring under Highway 20 is tentatively scheduled for July 7th. That is all.
Question, I guess I should have asked on the lake sewer. I would imagine NDOT will require that same settlement
They are.
monitoring for US 12 there.
Yes, we are.
Are you jumping ahead and making sure that that settlement permit gets going?
We sure are. They're definitely going to require it, so.
Great, thank you.
All right. So we have two invoices here. One is for 196303. Ms. Anderson, what's your recommendation?
We recommend approval for engineering services associated with MK's project for Schneider Geomatics.
That's in the amount of $15,912.
$15,912.50.
Okay. That's pleasure of the board.
I'll move to approve invoice number 196303 for Snyder Geomatics in the amount of $15,912.50.
I'll second it.
Seconded, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And invoice for Reith Riley, payment number 3 for their construction services, invoice number 362047-3 in the amount of $125,346.50, and we recommend approval.
There's a quick note on that. The scope of that payment is requested for correspond to the work completed on site through May 31st, 2025. The application for payment is in conformance with the contract documents.
And then,
That's all.
and relative to this one, does this complete their work, or do we expect, it says payment number 3, so it's out of a bigger project, right?
Yes, there's still more work to do.
There's some more work to do. Okay. So we're satisfied with the progress relative to its
Yes.
end of it. Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Okay, I will move to recommend payment for Reith Riley Construction Company's invoice number 36204557-3 in the amount of $125,346.80 or 60 cents? 60 cents.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Sanitary staff monthly reports.
Yes, the monthly reports are included in the board packet, and if you have any questions about any of them, you have it.
Well, I mean, it's been hot and raining, so any good news or bad news? I mean,
No, we're,
or concerns or?
no, everyththing's been operating smoothly ever since the May power outage. We haven't had any issues.
Sorry. Okay, good to hear.
Ron, I have a question, or just kind of clarification on the Jim Michaels report on 5/7/2025. He says Barker Road cover overflowed. This is more than just a sewer back at the contractor Reith Riley, who was hired by the city to do asphalt paving, hit and broke the manhole casting and cover. Basically, the asphalt and cover fell down to the sewer, blocked the sewer, causing a backup. The work that we did to straighten that out, are we going to file the claims for those costs to Reith Riley?
This is just the Barker Road.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
Jim Michaels in the middle of the 5/7 one. If they damaged our structure and caused it to fall in and cause blockage of the sewer, it seems like any expenses that we incur should be charged to Reith Riley and not on us.
Kyle, do you have any,
Yeah, we could review that and give you that for the next board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Is this item 1.2 here, Franklin?
It's here on their monthly report for Jim Michaels.
Okay.
Middle of the page.
All right,
You get to
thank you.
those
I'll find it.
staff reports.
Yeah, okay.
See, I do read these.
I know, I missed that, so I didn't read this part here, though. It just seems similar, so.
I don't have a lot of time, but I managed to get that done.
Great, I appreciate your diligence. All right, so we'll get an update on that next month. Thank you. Okay, tax levies, May 28th, 2025, revised version. So this was carryover from last month because there was some revision, is that correct?
Yes, on the May claims list, for one of the invoices on that list for $14,477.36, there were some concerns about it, and so we held until those issues are resolved, and so the new revised version of that claims list is $475,749.33, and we are asking for ratification for that claim list.
Okay. We approved a similar number last month, but it wasn't.
Yes,
exactly,
it was more, 490,220.
I'm not so sure we saved 15,000, but I mean, anyway, that's a pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to ratify the new claims docket dated May 28th, 2025 for $475,749.33.
I will second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
June claims list for an amount of $377,104.98, and we are recommending approval.
All right, so just curiosity, it's significantly less than the last month, so do we have seasonal swings in this, or do you have any feel for why we're up or down, or?
I do not.
It really depends on the month and what contracts are due.
Okay. Fair enough.
So it could vary, what bills come in.
I looked over the claims, I didn't see anything unusual, however. So it's not,
Certain month
our trust is in the team here, right, sure, yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board relative to the June 25th claims?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims docket for June 25th, 2025 in the amount of $377,104.98.
I will second that motion.
Okay, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're good for that. Thank you very much. Item 12, old business, utility emergency repair program update. Mr. Wallace.
Good afternoon. So we included in your packet a memo entitled Update on Utility Emergency Repair Program. If you recall, last month we brought to the board a request to identify two projects, emergency repair items. The first one was a storm inlet at Franklin and Valentine that was caving in. One of our concerns was the inlet was right adjacent to one of the northbound travel lanes on Franklin Street, and it would require some closure of one of the lanes of traffic. That's why we're considering going out to a contractor to fix that. After we reviewed that a little more closely, we do have arrow board to detour lanes here at the district, so we decided to assign some additional staff to provide that means of traffic, and then we were able to repair that inlet in-house with our staff. So we did not have to go out for requests for quotes on that cave-in. So that was all taken care of. And then the second item, 1.2, was the Franklin at 10th Street. This one's a little more complicated. We had two manhole covers that needed to be adjusted. Because of the nature of the volume of traffic on Franklin Street, we wanted to do a more detailed repair with a concrete collar ring around it, which we do not have the capability to do. We would have to work with an outside contractor on that. As we went out for quotes for this emergency repair, we went to Woodruff, Reith Riley, and H&G, as was discussed at the last meeting. We recognize that there'll be two components to this construction project: the actual physical work of raising the manhole lid, and then secondly, the maintenance of traffic. So as we requested quotes, we asked for a breakdown between those two tasks, and when we saw the responses, the repair cost was in the order of around It ranged from $4,400 to $5,600, the maintenance of traffic. So nearly, not quite half the cost was just the maintenance of traffic. We felt that was excessive, and we then decided, we found out later also, the water department has to do some additional paving there, so we're not quite sure what the final elevation is going to be. There's provisions in the specifications that the sanitary district could reject all quotes. So we issued the letter to the 3 entities that quoted saying we rejected the quotes, and we would either do this in-house or revisit it with a contractor later in the year. So that's how we've handled these first 2 emergency repairs from last month. And then we included in the packet an attachment that just shows the quote tabulation. All the quotes were received in time. They provided what their lane closures would need to be, the breakdown of the casting adjustment, the maintenance of traffic costs, and so we've documented all that. In the end, then we rejected our quotes because of the cost involved and uncertainty as what the final grade will be. And then second, related to the emergency repairs, we have last month presented to the board. We don't have any information in the packet this month on this topic, but I still need to do some legal review with Attorney Harris on the project manual. So we've kind of delayed action on actual requests for quotes for utility emergency repairs until next month, the July meeting. The plan is to bring the formal, finalized, legally reviewed project manual to the board. Then we have the legal requirement to public notice that in the paper. So if we get approval in July, we'll public notice the first couple of weeks of August and receive quotes from any bidders who want to bid on emergency or utility repair work in Michigan City at the August meeting. Give staff a chance to review that and then potentially award it to singular or multiple contractors at the September meeting. So we had a pretty aggressive schedule to start with. Recognize there's some legal things we want to do, make sure we got it done right. So that's the updated schedule for doing the official emergency repair.
So just to summarize a couple things, at least from my point of view, the 2 emergency issues that we had, which brought this to the forefront at our last meeting, have pretty much been resolved internally, and we're not going through an emergency repair process.
Correct.
And the second thing I have relative to that was I'm looking forward to seeing the process to, I guess, bid emergency reviews, or if we have somebody on call for emergency. I know there were some questions at the last meeting from some concerned folks. Do we have any, I mean, once the thing's completed and ready for our review, is there a review? How do we allow other input into the process by other contractors, or do we offer any of that?
So once we have the final project manual completed and approved by the board, we'll ask for approval to issue an official request for bids. And that will be public notice in the paper 2 times.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the bidding process. I'm talking about pre-bidding process. I'm talking about the actual process in terms of who's eligible to bid and what are the requirements for the bidders to come forward or not.
Sure, it would be any contractor that has a sufficient amount of equipment that matches the equipment list in the project manual. So in the project manual, we would specify certain equipment they need: excavators, payloaders, dump trucks, different equipment, vibratory equipment, and then they'll provide unit prices for all that and provide unit prices for their labor. And then once we get those, the board would have the option to pick out, if we have 5 responders, the board can pick out 3 that maybe they think have the most equitable prices. So we envision an open public bidding process whereby we may have 2 to 3 to 4 different local contractors that we could go to on an emergency basis, potentially depending on the type of repair. Some contractors might be more versed in doing manhole repairs, sewer repairs. Other may be more earth movers if there is an emergency ditch cave-in. We're kind of following the model that City of Lafayette's been using for several years.
Okay.
Are you specifically asking if there's going to be a pre-bid conference that potential bidders can attend prior to the issuance of the bid?
No.
Do you want to? Okay. All right.
No, I was just all of that. I'm going to where is the contractors have an opportunity to comment relative to the process that we're putting together. And it's just more or less copying doing something similar to what Lafayette did. And our confidence is that we're going to get quality bidders and do this more efficiently and cost effectively is the effort, right?
Yes.
So the question I have is, I know some people we've been doing some work with locally would like to have some input into the process, but I'm not sure we're allowing for that.
Yeah, it's a pretty general accepted practice for getting quotes for emergency repairs.
Okay.
It's typical standard equipment that general contractors have, and we're just trying to document those costs up front so we can manage costs going forward with the individual emergency repairs as they come up.
So if this process is being presented to the board at the July meeting for your review and approval, that would be the public comment period where these contractors could attend our meeting, make the comments that they want. If any of the board members would like to see incorporated into the process anything that's mentioned during their comments, you could direct that to the staff and conditionally approve it and indicate, I want you to include X, Y, Z as part of the process.
Okay.
But that would be the time they should attend that next meeting.
Okay. Well, if the people that have a vested interest, I know they're following pretty much what's going on here anyway, so I believe I hope we get that input, and I hope the outcome is cost effectiveness and efficiency. So, okay. Any other questions or comments? Nope. All right, well, thank you, appreciate that.
And then, Mr. President, I have one other item that come up under old business.
Okay.
Pleased to report that yesterday evening, the Michigan City Plan Commission approved the stormwater ordinance. So I think that I met with Attorney Harris earlier in the week and suggested that if we did successfully get the approval, that I come back under old business today and kind of update the board. So within this binder here, there's a little handout of a couple pages. I could go through those real quick. Okay. Yeah, so this first one here is this kind of table. It should be in this.
It's there.
All right. So when the board approved this at the January meeting, and I've been to a few of the Plan Commission meetings in the intervening months, gave the Plan Commission members a chance to submit questions. They submitted several. I was able to respond to those. These two clarifications here, clarification number 1, Section 46-238. This paragraph talks about requirements to prevent, control, reduce stormwater pollutants by the use of best management practices. One of the comments was that there was a little bit of ambiguity about what private property owners would have to do. So in reviewing this with our stormwater ordinance consultant, Christopher Burke, we added this additional language in red that in addition to other requirements of this ordinance, the owner-operator shall use these different BMPs. So we just clarified the language and made it a little stronger. Then in clarification number 2, Section 46-239 talks about watercourse protection. And this is twofold to remind property owners that the purpose of the ordinance is to keep pollutants out of stormwater. And also, second purpose is we don't want anyone to construct structures that would slow the flow of the water through the watercourse. So in the Purdue LTAP model ordinance, they refer to every person owning property through which a watercourse passes, and then the included language, or such person's lessee shall do these things. There's a question as to how the lessee falls into this. If there's a short-term lessee to a house, are they responsible for pollutant removal, stormwater management? So we expanded this language to refer to the lessee as someone that has assumed the responsibility for managing a property. So that would be a case perhaps where property owner has a long-term lease, annual, multi-year lease for using the property, as opposed to someone who might lease a house out for a couple of days.
Not an Airbnb couple in the weekend.
Right, so we clarified that language. And then, so those were the two main changes that came out of the Plan Commission review. There were some grammatical changes, some requests to change phrases around to make it a little more clear, so we did all that. And then, as part of the discussion, the second page here we have, it's a double-sided page. We listed the whole table of contents of the stormwater ordinance, which is rather long. It's 2 pages long. And then I had access to LaPorte, Portage, Valparaiso stormwater ordinance, went through all those ordinances and confirmed that they have the same identical sections in their stormwater ordinance because they're using the Purdue LTAP model ordinance as well. So I wanted to convey to the Plan Commission, who they're reviewing new developments pretty often, and then with these passage of the new ordinance, developers are required to meet certain standards for stormwater drainage, and those standards are the same that are going to be going on in LaPorte, Portage, Valparaiso. So there'll be continuity now amongst developers and engineers. They'll be working on basically the very similar ordinance. But beyond using the Purdue LTAP ordinance, we also did tailor this specifically to Michigan City. We provided the current stormwater ordinance to our ordinance consultant, that they saw the type of language, how it was structured, and modified the Purdue ordinance to make it Michigan City specific. So what we're asking for the commission, the Sanitary Board tonight, is to consider and ratify this updated ordinance presented to you today with these two main changes, clarification number 1 and number 2, because now that the Plan Commission has reviewed it, asked for those small modifications, the next step is to take it to the City Council for their review and approval. So having the convenience of Plan Commission approval yesterday evening, the Sanitary Board meeting this afternoon, there was an opportunity to not delay any further, get Sanitary Board approval on the updated ordinance, and then we'll take this to the City Council.
So what I read on the clarification number 2 is that allows us to go over after not just the owner, but also the leasee.
Right.
So, because prior to that, we only had recourse to go to the owner, right? So we can go to either or both now, I suppose.
Yes.
And then, just for me, who enforces this? I mean, it's on there, potential for fine.
So the sanitary district within the ordinance has been defined as the legal local entity to enforce the ordinance, and had some discussion with the Plan Commission yesterday evening on that. There's several requirements in our MS4 Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System permit that has timeline requirements. For example, if we get a plan from a new developer on the stormwater pollution prevention plan, we have 10 working days, 10 business days to review those plans. If it's less than 5 acres, if it's more than 5 acres, we have 14 days. We have to do inspections on all construction projects 5 acres or larger twice a year biannually. 50% of smaller projects we have to review annually. So the authority that will be implementing this would be sanitary district staff.
Okay. And then if we find a violation...
Yes, so there's provisions in here for enforcement. Some communities include enforcement language within the ordinance. In reviewing this with City Corporation Counsel Amber LePage, she recommended we don't include the specific fines within the ordinance, and we have a separate resolution in the future passed by this board identifying for an initial non-compliance would be a written warning. If that written warning is not met, then there's a potential for increasing fine structure. So there will be, and discussed with the Plan Commission last night, if there are non-compliances, our initial process is to work with that individual entity to get those fixed, identify what needs to be, have a remediation plan with a timeline, and then do re-inspections.
And that second resolution would also require an ordinance and council approval on the fine and fee schedule.
Okay. Well, I guess some other questions, but I'm a little uneasy just arbitrarily seeing this tonight, since it's several pages, and expecting the commission to approve it without having a chance to even read through it. I'm a little uneasy with that. So unless it's going to cause a real delay in the whole process, my recommendation is that we either put this on the agenda for the next meeting, or if it's necessary for a timeline, we have a special meeting next week or something to keep it moving. I'm not sure what the others.
Based on my involvement in it with the Plan Commission yesterday, I think it's pretty critical that we keep this moving along. Is that correct, Al?
Yeah, we're looking to go to the City Council at their July 18th meeting, I believe it is, the second Tuesday in July.
Okay.
Which would be
So
before the next.
we could do a special meeting if you wanted to.
I mean, I'm leaving it up to the commissioners. I just glancing at it, I don't see anything. And obviously, it's going to be broadly reviewed and recommended.
I've been through this a lot with Al and Amber and everything, and I think we're good to go after last night's Plan Commission input.
Okay, that's sure.
I would defer to Tim if he thinks it's there. I'd be willing to vote on it.
If I could add to that too, I understand the hesitation because it is a lot that's there. It is by and large a model ordinance that has been adopted by various communities, including other sanitary districts I represent. So it is a lot, but it is fairly standard.
Okay, and I'm assuming our staff is on board with this too?
I was there last night as well and have been tracking this, and I appreciate Al bringing up the extra few things that came up. That's what you were briefed on. Those were comments that came from the Plan Commission. Otherwise, it's largely unchanged in terms of anything substantive.
Okay.
And feel very comfortable, and in fact, would just like to commend Al and everybody from getting it to this point. It's a lot.
Sure.
And when you don't do this work, you're like, oh my gosh. So I feel very comfortable with it as well, but I totally respect where you're coming from.
All right, well, what's the pleasure of the commission?
I move that we approve the ordinance repealing, amending, and creating various articles and sections in the Michigan City Municipal Code regarding stormwater drainage number. I don't know what ordinance number it'll be. Is that the City Council that does that? Okay.
To be determined.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Al, thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much,
Work,
Al,
appreciate
and
it.
Christopher Burke as well. This is great. It's been really great, very diligent. Love the comparative too, so that everybody felt comfortable with what other folks were doing. We're not creating anything crazy here. We're just trying to manage the stormwater.
Right, to me, the urgency is we want to keep our water clean.
We do.
And we've got a proven process here that's been substantially supported and reviewed by many people, so.
And anything you see in here, there's no problem with modifying this ordinance in the future.
Look at that too. Yes, good point, good point.
And I look forward to the next round where we actually start talking about penalties and fines and those extra things we don't want to get to, but should we need to, we need to have a mechanism to do those things. We're getting a lot of development and a lot to interest, so we want it to go
Well, you
well.
could get some bad actors or accidental actions too.
Sometimes
So,
it
all
happens.
that can happen too, sure. So try to get us out of the ambiguity.
Yep.
All right, so thank you very much. Appreciate that. Al, any other questions for Al?
Good job.
All right, Michigan City Sanitary District job descriptions.
So we do have
Trail Creek Week.
Excuse me.
Under new business.
I know, I read that too. So this is more or less a $5,000 request for something we've been doing in the past.
Correct, and just wanted, we were contacted by the Park Department to see if we could participate again this year. In the kind of introductory memo it was included in the board packet. I want to provide some context of what's been going on. In 2022, this program was able to reach 688 students. 2023, 750 students. 2024, 575 students. And when you look at the full agenda, there's 4 different types of classes that students take. Students come in around 9 in the morning. They get a canoe paddle on Trail Creek. They get lunch. They leave around 1:15 in the afternoon. Multiple classes from different schools in Michigan City and beyond attend. So when we look at our potential $5,000 contribution towards the $14,000 total, our contribution of $5,000 engaging about 670 students comes up to under $8 a student for that. And
the remainder of the funds come from?
From the park departments, raising funds and getting some grant funds from local agencies to fill that out.
But these are 4th graders, and so it's average of 670 students. So
correct. And also, I forgot to mention within the memo, I kind of want to inform the board that part of our MS4 permit, our NPDES permit for stormwater, we are required to do education and outreach to different constituencies. In our plan to do education and outreach, we specifically called out we're going to have educational programs for 4th graders. So if we do not do this 5,000 contribution, we'll have to create a whole separate mechanism to go out and catch the 4th graders. So we're just trying to
promise somewhere else.
leverage our money and let someone else do it.
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, so what's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we approve the $5,000 contribution to have 4th graders learn about the watershed.
I second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of helping out our young people in Michigan City?
Aye.
Opposed? I'd be interested in who was
Yeah,
opposed.
not chasing them ourselves.
Right. Thank you. All right. So now let me go to the Sanitary District job descriptions.
Yes, we needed to revise our job descriptions to more accurately reflect who our employee reports to, and a lot of these job descriptions, we had them reporting to positions that no longer exist. And we took a look at what education experience, licenses, and certifications are actually required, changed some of them to preferred versus required. So we just wanted to make them more accurate, and so we presented them to the board asking if you will approve these updated, more accurate job descriptions.
So generally, that I read through, and maybe I missed a thing here too. In general, our hires have high school diplomas or GEDs and a valid driver's license. That's a general minimum requirement?
Driver's license is dependent upon the position. There are positions here where you don't need to drive.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about the CDL. I'm talking about just in general.
There are certain positions that you need to have a driver's license, and there's other positions where you don't have to have a driver's license. You could be dropped off at work or walk.
Okay, I just want to know if we accept that or not.
Some of it depends, it's position specific.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I love the clarity and what's the expectation of employees, and you can't manage employees if you don't have accurate expectations and descriptions. So, all right, what's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion to approve the updates to the job description in terms of reportability.
I will second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, I believe anyway, from my agenda, that we're up for adjournment.
No, we want to present to the board a proposal for the position.
Oh,
See.
didn't see that.
It was on the agenda.
Was there a revised?
Didn't make it on my agenda.
It didn't make it on the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's all right.
This was the, revised agenda, so,
No problem, hey.
so.
We're on job descriptions, all fits to me.
So our maintenance department is responsible for maintaining all plant processes. And some of the equipment in those plant processes is raw sewage pumps, effluent pumps, bar screens, root washers, primary tanks, secondary tanks, aerators, blowers, filters, dissolved air flotation system, belt press, digesters, stormwater basins, housekeeping, mowing, painting. They also are responsible for maintaining 45 lift stations, and a lot of these pieces of equipment have pumps, motors, valves, electrical components, and right now we have one person, the maintenance manager, the plant maintenance manager, who is responsible for the training, the assigning, the planning, and overseeing all this work. He is on call basically 24/7. There are weeks that he gets called every single day, middle of the night, Saturdays, holidays. And so we are proposing a new position, an assistant maintenance manager, where we want to mirror the hierarchy in some of the other departments where there's a manager and a foreman, two foremans, for example, in collections, and so basically someone to assist that manager in overseeing and training and managing all this work. So we presented a proposed org chart change, salary ordinance change, and the job description for this new position. And we are asking for your approval so this maintenance manager can have some assistance in doing all this work. It's kind of overwhelming right now, and if there was someone to share in this responsibility, it would make the work a lot easier, and it would just be better for everybody.
So for clarity for me, on the org chart here, the maintenance technicians and relief operators, do they report to both the manager and the assistant manager, or just the assistant manager?
They would report to the manager and the assistant manager, both of them.
Okay, sometimes I know when a shared reporting responsibility could cause some issues, but
they're going to share the responsibility of all the training, the assignment, the planning. The assistant manager is going to assist the plant manager in this work.
Understood. So I just want to make sure that I assumed you had thought of that. So,
and the salary level in red you have on this handout to us it starts at the same as the plant maintenance manager's salary and goes up to $73,822.84. Correct? In red, what we have here is what you're requesting.
And that's consistent with safety inspection and safety foreman salary.
Okay.
And it's like on the same level. And the mayor is supportive of this new position.
Okay.
all right. Well, that's the pleasure of the board.
I'll take a stab and see if I can hit everything here right. I make a motion that we approve the job description for the assistant plant maintenance manager, the revised org chart for that position within the org chart, and the salary resolution for that position.
I second it.
Okay.
It's good.
Been moved and seconded. I will point out too a little bit that this is a job that requires some physical requirements too. So
Yes.
they have to lift 50 pounds, bend, stoop,
Yes.
and so. So I'm assuming there's some type of review of that on the hiring process. So, all right. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So we're almost adjourned. Is there any other items on the agenda?
That's it.
So, I have one item, which came up the last month's meeting. Maybe, Chris, you could give us an update on our ditch review.
So we have some preliminary information to share with the board, and then we'll have a more fuller report at next month's meeting. So what we have here on the handout at page 1, we've got in our GIS system, we have a layer of where what are called legal court drains are. And most of the legal drains are typically out in agricultural areas, and they're under the jurisdiction of the county surveyors. Back in the late 60s, early 70s, when the Michigan City Sanitary District was created, the jurisdiction of all legal court drains within the city of Michigan City were transferred from county surveyor to the sanitary district, because it was within the city district, within the city limits, and not the county anymore. So at that time, we had 5 legal court drains, open drains within the city of Michigan City. Some of those have been piped over. So this is just kind of in broad strokes. We have 3 long remaining open conveyances in Michigan City we're responsible for. Up in the upper right corner, the White Ditch is approximately 2 miles long. Next to that, we have Beck Ditch, about 2 miles as well. And then at the far southwest corner, Strebel Arms, about 2.5 miles. So within all those open conveyances, we periodically go out there, check for erosion, do some maintenance. So the next 2 sheets are copies of our vegetative management work every year. So this is from our 2025 mowing program. And you can see in kind of the right-hand page of this first summary, we have White Ditch. So that's one of the legal court drains. The district does have a tractor with a side-mounted articulated mowing system. So we use that boom mower to do the mowing down the bank of the ditch. So this is the mowing map for White Ditch, and then the last page of this handout shows the mowing plan for Strebel Arm or the Kinsel Ditch. And this kind of shows all the mowing we do around Strebel Pond and then northward as it goes over to County Line Road. So we did not have a chance to provide a full, complete report on how we're managing ditches, and there's been a history of ditch maintenance over the last few years. So we'll be reviewing that and bringing that more full report to the board, and then also with the public comment from last meeting, that's near the intersection of St. John Road and Ohio Street. So we'll have some more detailed information about that specific site as well. So was able to put together some initial data to describe how we're maintaining our ditches. And then we just, for example, White Ditch, we had about $170,000 state grant to do some remediation with there. So we'll be compiling all that history to share with the board.
So and we're responsible for tires that get thrown in the ditch,
Blocking
whatever.
the water we have to get out of there.
I'm just curious.
I will say the new members of the board, I think it was 2 years ago, we did a maintenance contract on White Ditch around Mere Road in that area. So that's been cleaned out and reprofiled and that, so that section is good. The state of Indiana is getting ready to do an improvement on US 12, and they'll be replacing the culvert under Mere Road and under US 12 up to the Amtrak tracks, and then it flows north under the tracks there. So that'll be new. So we'll have pretty much a good drainage system all in the White Ditch from, I don't remember how far south we went with that, but it's pretty clear, at least last year when it was all new up, and it'll be clear all the way up to the state line of Michigan almost.
Wow. When I got on this board, I didn't think it was going to be quite this exciting, but it's...
But then going back to our MS4 program, we're required once every 5 years during our permit term to visually inspect all the conveyances, all the open ditches, all the catch basins throughout town. And based on our MS4 permit, we're responsible for doing remediation, fixing any erosion. So it's all kind of tied together. So we're using the skills of Tony Basil, our GIS coordinator, to give us the maps of where the ditches are. And then Andy Metanik, the GIS director for the city, has a work management system, the Kintone system, where we can put in work orders, and then when they're done, we can document what sections of sewers we did. So we're in the kind of rollout stages of some of that work, but that's we're transitioning to a more GIS-based work order management system for all these types of conveyances.
Now, on page 3, it looks like we're responsible for maintaining the pond at Suburban Estates off Ohio Street.
Yeah, that's something we have to look at a little more closely. So we do go out there and basically mow once in a while.
Keep the fragmites down.
Yeah, well, sure we can.
Thank you, Al. Sure, I appreciate it.
Yay. One more thing. This is.
That's why we have these meetings, to get stuff done. Let's go,
This is the
come on.
last thing for sure.
Bring it on.
All mine is just a little clarity so that there's an understanding of the monies that are paid out.
Yes, thank you.
So we recommend, we award, we monitor, we do the change orders for the 12 lift station, for the MK annexation, for all those projects, right?
Right.
But we're there to monitor them and to accept the reports and accept the monies. But the money don't come from us. It doesn't come out of our budget. Those money come out of other different sources. So again, it's shared money through redevelopment pays money. We have bond money. We have grant money. So there's different sources this money comes out of. So it doesn't come out of that budget dollar that we're looking at.
Right.
It's like the $2,000 we paid.
No,
that's not that money.
I still think it's important for the board to understand sources and uses and how that lines up with a budget. And, if we're expected to approve expenditures, we want to make sure that there's revenues relative to covering those, but also that we're accounting for it in the correct budget.
Right.
So everything I've seen here is nothing but excellent work, but I still want to continue to educate ourselves and the public.
Correct. All that money is earmarked for those specific projects, but just comes from different fund sources.
Understood.
That's handled in the controller's office. You're just approving the expenditure of them because you say the work's been done.
That's right.
Well, not to overcomplicate that, but I think the register that the board receives has the capability of identifying the exact source of the funds. Right now, it looks like most of them just say accounts payable.
Yeah.
I don't want to make life more difficult for the controller, but it might be of some benefit if you did include the source of funds in that source category, which looks like it just says accounts payable, but it's a thought.
I don't even think that would even show up in the actual claims docket because these are not going to be paid out of your bank account. I have to look at it. 'Cause I know on other ones, that we do the source of funds.
Like Mr. Harris's money comes out, we have that budgeted in our budget. So all of that attorney money comes out of our
Right.
Yeah, but
attorney
it wouldn't,
budget.
because you got sanitary district and tax levy or Carwick, so those wouldn't even be, you're just approving that we can pay them, and then those claims are actually gonna show up on the Board of Works and the council, depending on what the source of funds are. So that's when the actual claims and the check number, but you first have to approve that, yes, we approve that we can make the payment, then we make the payment, then it shows up on a different board's docket.
Okay. So you're authorizing the expenditure, but not necessarily the use of sanitary district funds, because there are no sanitary district funds.
Right.
Well, we still have to have someone that's saying, yes.
Somebody has to say, okay.
We take it on from there.
So we just
There's
govern and monitor it, correct?
Right, but in authorizing something, I'm used to authorizing something against a budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I haven't seen much of that
And
yet.
those awards are given out for that project, those monies then are encumbered for that project, for the MK thing. We're just allowing the money to be spent and we're giving the controller the authority to pay those bills.
Understood.
So it's shared money through the water department has a shared money, the redevelopment shares money, so all of those come from different funds.
Understood.
Okay.
Any,
No, nothing.
nothing else? Come on, you gotta, come on. All right. Anything else to come before the board?
No.
All right, and then a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, so our next meeting is July 23rd, at 4 o'clock, and I assume that we'll have a short executive session for that, so. Thank you. Good work,
Everybody. Perfect. Okay, what?